and I was sitting in my underwear in my bedroom in Brooklyn in an apartment I could no longer afford. I think I was like 2 months late on rent. But more importantly, I was bored. I'm like, and there was nobody on YouTube really talking about watches. And watches is my work, but it's also my love. And one day I just said, I don't have a job. I'm not doing anything. YouTube's not really going to make money, but I'm bored. So I turned on an iPhone. I started talking about watches. I couldn't go out with my friends. I had no money. Slowly but surely, the online community became my friends. And here I am 7 years later, and on the back of that, we're over 100,000 subscribers. I now also own DelrayWatch.com, which is my watch store, which because of YouTube, we do 8 figures a year. Wow. So why did my audience grow? I think you would ask them, but I would say consistency. I've just been around a while. But more importantly, no bullshit.
Have you decided what you're going to get?
Oh, yeah, definitely we're going to get one of each.
One of each. Got it.
Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of One of Each. This is a podcast where basically I invite friends and maybe people who are not that close. It's not the case with Federico. To talk about food, to talk about food experiences, anecdotes, how we connect through food to whatever we do. We might have chefs, we might have restaurant owners, but also in the case again of Federico, you are in the watch world, so we're going to learn about that. But also we have amazing stories together. We love to eat out. You spend a lot of time traveling also, so we're going to talk about that. So, well, I just want to say welcome, Federico. Thanks for taking the time of being here. I know you're not new to talking to the camera, so I apologize in advance because this is one of the first episodes that we record, and for you, this is probably the third this week that you do. So I'm honored to have you as a guest. And again, welcome. We're going to talk about food, about things that we love.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's a real honor. But yes, my name is Federico. I'm from Federico Talks Watches. I also have a YouTube channel. But more importantly, I eat a lot with my friend Nidal. Next week, you free?
No, thank you. Thank you, Federico. And I always start asking people or my guests to tell a little bit of a story of how you got connected to food. Many of those stories start at home with family, with grandparents. And in your case, you have a very diverse background. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were born in New York. Mm-hmm. You were raised between Spain, some time in Venezuela, but you're also from Italian
heritage.
Heritage, yeah. So tell me, Federico. I always ask people to start by talking about your background, where you come from, where your love for food started. And in your case, you have a very rich heritage. I mean, you were born in New York. Mm-hmm. You spent a lot of time in Madrid in your childhood. I know you have some connections with Venezuela, but most importantly, you're from Italian heritage. So very rich food culture. So tell me a little bit how your love for food started. Do you have specific memories at home or while in any of those countries or cities?
Absolutely. So my love of food started at a very young age. And as I'm sure is not unique to almost all food lovers, it started at home. A big Italian family. So, of course, we always ate at the table when I was a child. Every dinner was together with the family. We weren't allowed to have a TV. Everything was pretty much home cooked. That changed, once I became a teenager, unfortunately. But we put a big emphasis on food. And it's just and it's not always just about the food, even though I love it. It's about talking and sharing and how was your day and spending quality time with loved ones. Mm-hmm. And then the side activity is putting something delicious in your mouth. Exactly. Which doesn't hurt.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me how I started with food, and it's very similar to what you said. no matter where you were, what you were doing, Monday to Friday, you better be home at 12:30, sitting at the table. In our case, dinner was more casual, but lunch was like sacred.
Okay.
So you better be at home at 12:30, sit together, have lunch. Maybe we eat very fast in the family, so maybe that was like 20 minutes, half an hour, and you're out. But you gotta
be there.
You gotta be there. So it's and those are the beautiful things that I think mark us in our childhood or youth, like to understand the importance of not only eating but sitting at a table together and spending some time with the family.
Absolutely, and even in adulthood, like I know, as we've gotten older, we're getting a little busier. We went from hanging out 2-3 days a week to now we're lucky if we see each other twice a month.
Exactly.
And what do? We go eat something together. And yes, it's because we're hungry. We're always hungry, but it's really just to hang out and talk and shoot the shit. I don't know if I can say that on your channel. I apologize.
You can.
But yeah, I mean, and in terms of that, it's one of the other fun things is what are we gonna eat?
Exactly.
Like what's changing tonight? And I think it's always an element of excitement.
Yeah, and we're always like in the look of like what's new, or we just go to our favorite places. Like, do we want to drive? We don't want to drive.
Yeah.
But it's always very exciting to even discuss like what are we gonna do.
It's always an argument.
It's always an argument, especially we have some friends who live farther south, and is always pushing us to go like to Coral Gables or even farther south, but we are like North Miami
people.
Yeah.
Coral Gables is almost as far as Havana, as far as I'm concerned. It's not close.
Yeah. So I mentioned at the beginning, I admire. I mean, we're very close friends, but I admire your work. I admire what you've done. And people who listen to this podcast, hopefully some people are listening to us. I hope so.
I think so.
Yeah, they are here because we're gonna talk about food. But what many people might not know is that you are a big name in the watch world. You have your YouTube channel. You have over 100,000 subscribers. You are like an authority, and I really admire that. And if I can do half that in the food world, I'm considered happy. Can you tell me how you grew that audience, how you became what you are now? Because it's very easy to sit in front of the camera and record, I don't know, 15 minutes, whatever. But when you do it consistently and people go back to you, it's because you have something to say. So how did you start? Like, what was the seed for that?
So honestly, the seed was desperation, as is usually a big emotion in someone's
For the
life.
record, I'm not doing this because I'm desperate.
No, you know, but to give you an idea, I was working in the watch world since I was 18. Career was going very well, a lot of promotions, and then we hit an economic downfall, and everybody was getting fired. For the record, I was not fired, but I quit because I would rather quit than get fired. And I thought, I'll find a new job. Yeah, a year later, did not find a new job.
And that was in New York.
That was in New York.
Okay.
And I was sitting in my underwear in my bedroom in Brooklyn in an apartment I could no longer afford. I think I was like 2 months late on rent. But more importantly, I was bored. I'm like, and there was nobody on YouTube really talking about watches. And watches is my work, but it's also my love. There was a couple of people, and I give them credit. And one day I just said, I don't have a job. I'm not doing anything. YouTube's not really going to make money, but I'm bored. So I turned on an iPhone. I started talking about watches. And it was easy, and I started interacting. I was a little bit in a depression. I couldn't go out with my friends. I had no money. Slowly but surely, the online community became my friends. And here I am 7 years later. And on the back of that, we're over 100,000 subscribers. I now also own DelrayWatch.com, which is my watch store, which because of YouTube, we do 8 figures a year. Wow. So which is I'm extremely proud of. And why did my audience grow? I think you would ask them, but I would say consistency. I've just been around a while, but more importantly, no bullshit. You might not like my opinion, and that's okay, but I'm always gonna give it.
Yeah, and I love the fact we were just talking before coming into the studio, and one of the things that you told me is like, be natural, be yourself, and that's I think I'm gonna follow your your advice because that's where the real conversation happens.
There's going to be a lot of people online that don't like you for no reason. That's okay. Because there's going to be 100, 1,000, 10,000 times more people that really enjoy it. And that's just part of being a YouTuber, a podcaster.
And was there like a tipping point? Like you started doing it for fun because you were bored. Was there a tipping point where you're like, hey, this is really getting traction? I didn't post anything last week and people are asking me why I haven't gone online. What was that tipping point where you said, okay, this is serious. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to buy a better camera.
So tipping point was, honestly, it was a little bit more commercial than that. I was visiting my parents in Miami because they lived here at the time and I lived in New York. And there was like a professional... There's a big watch store in Miami that did a professional YouTube show. And they saw on my social media that I was coming to Miami and they're like, come be a guest on our show. Okay. So I went, did the show, and it was the highest like viewed show they did. So they said, come tomorrow and we'll do another one. I did that. It was even better. And then I get pulled into the office and they said, listen, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this. And we have worse numbers than you, and you're doing it on an iPhone. And I said, do you want me to teach you? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, it's going to be this much money. Like, hire me. I need a job. And they said yes.
Nice.
Now, that job, it's okay. I ended up going independent. But that's when I realized that, like, I could make a living talking to the camera.
Amazing.
And a big company, like a well-known company, was willing to overpay me to do it.
And then if that connects to your actual, well, not actual job because this is also your work, but if that drives traffic to your website, drives sales, then why not? And I have to tell you, not you, but the audience, I've been out with this guy many times for dinner. And I don't know how many times people stop you to ask you for a picture or tell you, hey, look what I'm wearing. And what do you think about this? Or what did you say this and that last episode? So, I mean, it's very nice to create content that is relevant for people.
Agreed, and it took years and years of work, and also a lot of I mean, I don't like saying this about myself, but integrity, I guess. Not selling out, sticking to what you actually believe in, as unpopular as that could be. But Nidal, you're gonna do great. You're gonna be way bigger in food than I ever was in watches. I'll tell you that right now.
And going back to the watch world, do you see any, because people who buy watches from you are collectors, people who invest money in good watches. I'm sure your clientele is not wealthy, but they value
from all over.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Is there any relationship? Because when we talk about food, there's like fast food, there's fast casual, there's fine dining. But you are not like a big retailer, so I wouldn't say you are a fine dining. Where do you see yourself in if you compare yourself to the food world? I
would like to think of myself as a cheesecake factory with a Michelin star. A very large menu.
Okay.
And I will, I serve everybody. Even if it's your first watch for $500 or you want to spend $500 grand.
Okay. I will add one more layer to that. I would say, yes, you are a cheesecake factory, but only one location.
Only one location.
So you take care of that location, you take care of the food, what comes out of the kitchen.
And with the Michelin star.
With the Michelin star.
Not 3 yet, but I got one.
Only one. Okay.
Only one.
Amazing. And tell me, you travel a lot. I know you've been traveling even more lately. Do you have any, I know you're super busy, you go to shows and everything. Do you do any research before traveling, like where you're going to eat, or you basically play it by ear? Are there any, and we're going to talk about that later, like any go-to places? Like, how do you plan your travels?
So to be honest, lately with my extra travel, I don't even, I know I've been to a few of these places before, so I've got like the 2 or 3 safe spots I always go to. But if I know I'm going to have more time, then it's a mixture of asking you, like, where have you been? Or something my brother taught me, which is I'll see if there's an old Anthony Bourdain No Reservations episode.
Okay.
I'm a big Bourdain fan. And I'll watch it
Okay.
And then I'll try and eat. Now, those episodes are a little old now, but I'll try and get as close as possible
Okay, and
to
at
what
least
he
you get
did.
the vibe of the city
Yeah.
and everything. Great. And any discovery that you've done lately in any of those trips, or even here in Miami, that you would like to share?
Discovery number one,
Uh-huh.
I'm now 35 years old.
Okay.
Heartburn is a real thing.
Oh,
Like, it's a problem. Like, I can't eat as spicy or as much as I used to.
oh. Dude, I used to carry, I don't know if we're doing commercials here or not, but I used to carry a Gaviscon jar in my car because of reflux and all that. Thank God that's all gone. But yeah, you gotta watch what you eat, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
But in Miami, like, comfort food-wise, I don't know if this is a commercial. Last night,
Uh-huh.
I went back to the Schnitzel house.
Oh,
And, like, I know it's just a breaded piece of veal,
uh-huh.
but is there anything better than, like, a crunchy, deep-fried
Yeah.
item served with a really cold beer?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, I think people ask me a lot what would be my last meal, and many times I answer a milanesa, which is a schnitzel or whatever. But talking about heartburn and watching what you eat, you went through a process. Maybe was that like a couple of years ago? I lost track, but I know you went into a healthier lifestyle. You lost a lot of weight. And you stopped doing one of the things that you love the most, which is going out, restaurants, to eat a lot, to like we drink wine. How was that process from a personal point of view?
it
I know
sucked. I mean, it sucked. I mean, yes, audience, I was a lot heavier than I am now. I'm probably down 70 pounds a year and a half ago. Long way to go. But listen, it's terrible because even though I'm there to spend time with you or to spend time with my girlfriend, my friends, you're seeing all this delicious things put in front of you, and to get to your goal, you can't. It's a lot of self-control.
Yeah.
But, you get through it. You get through it, and ultimately the first 2 weeks sucked, but then, listen, I get to see Nidal. I get to see, okay, I'll order a chicken breast. Like, it's fine, but it's not easy.
And you had to give up. Like, what was your diet mostly? Like proteins?
Very high protein. Fat was okay. It was basically like a low carb diet. Not no carb, but lower carbohydrates.
Okay, I remember we did a lot of steakhouses those times, and your lunch was like egg whites and turkey.
Just trying to. The main thing, I think, if you're going to be successful, not that I'm the poster boy for success, is just you got to find something you can be consistent, something that you can maintain. No carbs is impossible.
It's
like
impossible.
it's impossible. And so I did lower carb, and then like once a week, one meal, eat whatever I want. Like I want a
Okay.
Domino's pizza once a week.
What about sweets?
I was never a huge sweet guy.
Okay, you're right the opposite of your brother, who's like the sweetest tooth I've met.
Give me cheese, sauce, fried, like, give me a T-bone, give me uni, like, but sweets, whatever,
Speaking of uni, do you remember this?
unitoro.
Unitoro.
How much was... So, unitoro was a hand roll created by the best sushi chef in Miami at the time for us. There was toro and uni,
Yeah.
and I think those bad boys were like $40.
Yeah, and we finished the whole tray of uni, and for people who are watching and not listening, we said like uni toro, which is
every
like
time.
like a bull with one horn.
With one horn in
Uni toro.
Spanish.
So we'll be like with the chef like uni toro, and like he will be serving us. But
Dude, incredible.
I forgot what I was gonna ask you with the Unitoro question. Oh yeah, in terms of because you lost your weight, I know you also worked out hard. You woke up every morning super early. Now, is it a change in the lifestyle? Like, how do you maintain your how not go back to your
It just becomes
old
habit.
weight?
If you do anything long enough, it becomes natural. The problem is doing it long enough. Like you have to not quit in that. So now I still wake up at 6:15. I still go to the gym 4 days a week. I'm sure you can tell I'm not losing crazy weight like before, but I haven't really put anything back
Yeah,
on.
no, that's
I'm
the
more
most important part
relaxed.
because a lot of people lose a lot of weight, then they are comfortable, and as we say, they've lost weight in their body, but not in the brain, and that's the hardest part. So,
Yeah.
I think the key is not losing but maintaining it. No?
And like I'm not scared of going out with you and eating 4,000 calories each,
Yeah.
as long as the next day I wake up and I'm like, I should have a salad for lunch.
Yeah,
You know, like it's
exactly.
all about balance.
Absolutely,
Like, I think.
absolutely. I was reading some interviews you've had, and you mentioned in some of them that you adore seeing the world, and you travel a lot for work. Which country has impressed you the most, or city, in terms of food offer, type of food?
Okay, so that's a trick question because there's hundreds of cities. If you forced me, and this answer could change, I'd probably go with Ho Chi Minh City,
Okay.
which is a beautiful fusion of, obviously Vietnamese food, but there's a lot of French influence. I mean, you're in Asia and you can have bread and cheese. Like,
Yeah.
that's not normal in the rest of Asia.
Yeah.
But then I've also been really opened when we went to Mexico City, man.
Oh, dude, that's Mexico City is insane.
And we ate everything from like the cheapest street taco to something that would be considered expensive in Miami.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is difficult
Exactly.
because Mexico has the whole thing. But I think the key is there's no city that I've ever had like an invalid food experience.
I tell that a lot of people. Well, going back to Mexico, they just announced the Michelin stars there. The
Quintonil?
guides. Quintonil got 2 stars. Puyol got 2 stars. Many restaurants got 1 star, but one taco stand got 1 star too.
One taco was it
Yeah.
our taco stand?
No, it wasn't ours, but it was one of not the Khalifa the chain, but another one called Khalifa. It's like a standalone taco place. Which is, I think it's amazing that happened because he recognizes the value of a street taco being as good as a meal in a restaurant. But then if I want to be, I don't know, if I want to go deeper, like how many taco places are there in Mexico City? Why that one got 1 star? Like what's the criteria? No, and that's where
So nobody
discussion-
knows.
nobody knows.
That's the problem
Yeah.
with the Michelin Guide and why I don't put a lot of weight into it a lot of times. I will say, controversial maybe, I like fine dining
Yes.
more than most people.
Yeah.
But I still think the best meals I've ever had are on the street.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you think Mexico City, Bangkok, Ho
Oh
Chi
my
Minh,
God. Yeah.
Beirut, it's
It's just the
that's where-
food lives on the street. And actually, it's like, I love Miami. I live here. But the one thing I don't really love about Miami is, you have the Ventanitas, you have El Rey de las Fritas, you've got
Yeah.
your arepa place. But street food isn't really a thing.
It's not a thing.
here.
And only recently you started seeing like decent food trucks. There's plenty in the Midtown area. There's some in Doral. My go-to street food. I mean, I was born and raised in Maracaibo, and for me, and I might be biased, but for me, the 3 best cities in the world for street food are Mexico City, Bangkok, and Maracaibo.
I will give you Mexico City. I will give you Bangkok. I've never been to Maracaibo.
Okay.
But knowing like Venezuelan food culture, I'm not surprised.
The street food in Maracaibo is amazing. So there's when I miss that or I'm craving like maracucho street food, I go to Doral. There's a food truck there called Casimiro,
Okay.
and I have like the salchiquesos, the tostadas with pernil. Amazing! It's amazing.
Which salsita? The white, the green, or like the red?
I use the white and mustard.
Okay.
Because there in Maracaibo also we can talk about, we'll do like a whole episode about Maracaibo street food, but one, you don't call a hot dog perro caliente. You call it pan con queso, which is
But that's bread with cheese.
pan con queso and pan con salchicha. Sorry,
Oh, okay,
pan con
so I was
queso,
gonna be like, where's the sausage?
pan con salchicha and salchiqueso, because there's a hot dog that instead of having a wiener, a salchicha, you put like a strip of queso de mano. Yeah, that's amazing.
Ooh.
And then the salchicha with the queso de mano is the salchiqueso. So going back to our conversations, because before we like turn off the cameras and drive to Doral, for me, like one of the best street food is from Maracaibo. So having been born there and I grew in Maracaibo, I really appreciate street food. So I'm totally with you.
But it's comfort food.
Yeah.
I think so. Bangkok's a great example. I have a lot of friends in Bangkok, and when I was going there in like my younger, like 21, 22 years old, I realized my friends eat in the street every night. And I said, guys, we're all students here. Like, we don't have a lot of money. How do you afford to eat in the street every night? And this is like my first or second trip to Bangkok. They said, dude, it's cheaper to eat in the street than it is to go to the supermarket.
Yeah.
And it's so comforting. And I think Maracaibo might have maybe not cheaper, but it has a little bit of that element
absolutely.
Where anybody can eat.
Absolutely. And that's also another beauty of street food is where, and happened also like in Caracas, I grew up in Maracaibo. I lived in Caracas part of my adulthood. And you would go at 2 a.m. to a hot dog cart, and you would see like the nicest cars with like people dressed up like they just went out when they were in a wedding wearing like tuxedos and everything. And then like kids, like college kids or going on the way to a rave or whatever, and everybody was meeting at this hot dog place.
Let me ask you, is there any meal, and I'm asking the camera guys too, is there any meal in the world better than the wasted 3 a.m. meal?
There isn't.
No,
there
right?
Isn't.
No?
No way, no.
We're biased.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that is the time food, and I don't care if it's McDonald's,
yes,
or if it's like a kebab in the middle of Istanbul. Like, it tastes so good.
And going back to your comment again, we are in Miami. We love Miami. I think Miami's food scene is getting way better.
Way better.
But if you are craving something like that at 3 a.m. in Miami, you have to go like to Denny's.
You got to go to Denny's, IHOP, and maybe you get lucky and you find like an open Wendy's.
Yes, exactly.
And that's like a little disappointing.
Yeah. I miss, you mentioned kebab. One of the things I miss, like street food staple, is a good shawarma.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, whether you want to call it shawarma, kebab, Nidal,
doner,
whatever it is, but like meat on a spinning stick with way too much garlic, like that is my love. Like,
there's a book by Chris Yang called, I think it's We All Eat the Same, or Everybody Eats the Same. Forgive me if Chris, if he's listening to this. Sorry, I don't remember the title, but he says that it's like 10 episodes, and each one of those episodes is a type of food, and at the end of the day, like one of the episodes is grilled meat on a flatbread, and he talks about tacos, shawarma, doner, kebabs. The other one is like dumplings, and you have like pierogis, dumplings. The other one is empanada. So when you look deep into like
ravioli,
yeah. So when you look deep into cultures, at the end of the day, you realize we all eat the same.
And I agree with that. Yeah, there's differences in flavor and ingredients, but you will always recognize something. Doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. Just like I don't know if I mentioned this to you. We've talked about this before. I've been spending a lot of time like on vacation in Tokyo. I actually find Japanese cooking philosophy to be very similar to like Italian.
Okay.
Because even though they taste totally different, right? Totally different. It's all minimal ingredients. Every dish is 2, 3, maybe 4 ingredients.
Yeah, the best ingredients.
And the quality of the ingredients. And it's very simple. And there's such a correlation between how the two cultures seem to eat, even though it doesn't taste similar at all.
Yeah, well, there's I don't know if call it a trend or how to call it, but now you can find in Tokyo or in Japan like amazing pizzas, amazing burgers.
Best pizza I've had in the past 5 years is in Tokyo.
Really, which one?
It's from Da Michele,
Uh-huh.
which is the famous Neapolitan pizzeria, and they have Napoli and Tokyo.
Wow.
Don't ask me why. I don't know why,
Wow.
but it's incredible.
I bet the one in Tokyo costs like 3 or 4 times more than the one in Napoli.
Well, the one in Napoli is like €6. I don't know how the yen works yet, so I just gave my credit card and I figured it out.
You'll find out like in a week or so.
Exactly.
I had an amazing pizza. I had 2 great pizzas in Tokyo. One is Savoy, and the other one is Studio Tamaki. Tamaki Studio.
Tamaki is in like Italian with 2 C's, or tamaki is in
No,
Japan
like
with
in
a
Japanese
K?
with a K. With a K.
Okay.
Yeah. And they were great. And I also went to in Kyoto to Monk, which is the famous guy who was in Chef's Table. That was insane. And that's one place every morning I wake up and like, oh, when am I going back to Japan?
I have a confession,
All right.
and I hope we're still friends.
What did you do?
I was in Tokyo, and where did I go eat? Not my choice. Someone brought me there, but I still went. I went to Nobu in Tokyo.
Dude, was it good?
It was full.
Okay.
No Japanese people.
Uh-huh.
It was really good.
Yeah, I bet.
And Nobu in Tokyo is dirt cheap.
Wow.
We're talking $9 pieces of otoro.
Wow.
Which in Miami,
Yeah.
when we like went that one time by mistake, it was like $30.
Yes.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, I went all the way to Tokyo and I ended up in Nobu.
I remember once we were driving around, we were wondering where to go, and we were craving sushi. We stopped by one, I don't remember the place, it was like a residential building with a restaurant downstairs.
Restaurant in like the back of the lobby
Yeah.
next to the gym.
Yeah, we walked there like, I don't think so.
I think so.
We
yeah.
ended up at Nobu in Miami Beach, and I think it wasn't a bad meal.
No, not at all.
And we had the classics. We had like the miso cod. We had the
Rock shrimp
the rock
tempura.
shrimp tempura. I mean,
I mean,
that will never be bad.
there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'm pretty sure we paid $150 a person.
Yeah.
But listen, I don't love the hype places, but it's fun every now and then.
Yeah. Now
Like-
it's almost like a classic. Like
It's a classic.
you go there for nostalgia. I remember I didn't even live here. I remember when Nobu was in South Beach, I don't know, 20 years ago. That was the place to go. Like I was visiting and I was doing the line. I remember Matt Damon was behind me in the line. And like, okay, I'm in the right place. Matt Damon is, I'm going to
Damon's
get
here.
the table before him. And yeah, it's a little bit of nostalgia. I bet they have like the same menu.
100. But another great example, Joe's Stone
Ah,
Crab.
that's,
Okay, a Miami classic.
yeah.
And we've been there, I don't even know how many times. It's not the best cuisine. It's really nothing like special, but it always hits the spot.
Yeah.
We're always super happy to be there.
Yeah. Service is great.
Service is great, and they have the strongest martini on the East Coast. I mean, I've never gotten as drunk as I have at Joe Stone Crab. And it's one of those things where, yeah, maybe it's cliche, but we're always going to go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, we're always going to go.
And that's like people who come to visit tell me like, where should I go? And of course, I have a long list of places that I like in Miami. But if you want to go to one restaurant in Miami this is the Miami restaurant, is Joe Stone Crab.
Agreed.
Also, I have another story about Joe Stone Crab. Massimo Bottura was here visiting. I took him out for dinner. And we waited for like half an hour for our
Joe's.
table. And I bet that's the only time Massimo had to wait for a table in his life. And it was a Joe Stone Crab. They didn't care who he was.
You
Nothing
gotta
like
slip him a
yeah.
50, bro. Slip him a 50.
I
Do
should
you know
have
who this is?
Exactly. Exactly. I should have done that. We were talking about fast food, and I did the homework and I read in another interview that you love everything that's fast. I know you like fast cars. You had a Ferrari at some point. And we were talking about fast food, no?
Don't make me sound like an asshole.
No, it was part of your work too. I mean, I know it's.
Why are you reading my interviews? You're one of my best friends. Stop reading my interviews.
I'm only mentioning two that I can share. I found some stuff online that I'm not gonna share. Don't worry about it. So don't, no. It's always like, do you like fast food? Like, do you? Because in the food industry or like with chefs and everything, we always like brag about how many years it's been since we went to McDonald's or Burger King.
Bullshit. I love fast food. Mm-hmm. I love it. Now, I don't eat it super often. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to keep it in moderation. But I'll tell you when I love fast food. I've just spent, I spent 3 weeks in Asia, mm-hmm. running from city to city, working, sweating. I just want to go home, and I get to the airport and I see a McDonald's. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know what? I've been eating noodles and pho and sushi for a month. Like, mm-hmm. I just want a Big Mac. Like, I just want a Big Mac. I want to go home, I want a Big Mac, and I want to fall asleep. And there's fast food is comforting. I think people, it serves a purpose. Mm-hmm. Like, it's either to be fast or occasionally to be gluttonous. Mm-hmm. But I'm under no illusion that it's high quality food.
No, it is what it is.
But it can be enjoyable, and anybody who doesn't think so is a liar, in my opinion.
So I would say beside Taco Bell.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd rather find. I know it's not easy. I'd rather find the little ventanita with the old ladies selling an empanada.
Sure, if that's an option.
Yeah.
But you like Taco Bell. I know you like Shake Shack.
I like Shake Shack. I love Shake Shack.
So there's two fast foods you like already.
Five Guys. So that's
you like Five Guys?
Yeah.
I mean, you like fast food.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want McDonald's. You don't want a Whopper. But there's times when you want fast food.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
I was craving Sunday. We were craving a burger. Me and Paola, my wife. So we were thinking, okay, where can we get a decent burger in Miami? There's a lot of pop-ups. So we were considering going to Five Guys.
Okay. And
we were driving there. A friend called us. We were gonna meet at a bar later on. She said, "Oh, there's a pop-up of Kawi burgers and Sandoches, which is a Sando place."
Ooh.
Yeah. So they were like one next to each other. Kawi has amazing burgers, and they did like a mashup, like a combination. So they did like a Sando, but it was like a burger melt. It was amazing. So it's fast food, but it's not like chain fast food.
Well,
yeah.
There's a difference. I mean, let's not forget, we owned a fast food business together.
Yes.
Like for 3 months.
Exactly.
But we still owned and served the dirtiest burgers in Miami.
That's right. That's a nice story. And now that you mention it, it's a great memory, and I know that's gonna resurface at some point.
It's the only time you'll ever see me in an apron ever again.
That's just to, and we don't talk about this a lot, but at some point we had a burger place called Two Burgers. Yep. With Charles Thompson, who is no longer with us, and Inez, and this started as I was curating the food for a concert venue. And I would send like taco people, arepa people, and I was looking for a burger place. And I would call everybody who I know that had burgers, and nobody wanted to do it. So like, okay,
we'll do it.
So we created this concept called Two Burgers. So it was Two Burgers because only two options: vegetarian burger and meat burger,
and no fries.
No fries.
And I'd like to remind you that not only were we financially successful,
yes,
but we then took all the money we made and we spent it on fancy dinners.
Exactly.
We cleaned out that bank account going to surf club.
Exactly.
What was that $700 omakase place?
Oh,
Naoe.
Oh, that was insane.
I mean,
that's so good.
We were like the worst business people like ever in the history of
Make money selling burgers and spend it all in one night.
Eating burgers.
Exactly. But also we like fine dining.
Sure.
I think the not everyday meal, but there's like a sweet spot of, I call it the $60 to $80 restaurant in Miami, which should be like 30 or 40 in other cities, or 100 in I don't know, New York or Tokyo. But beside that, like, how do you feel about fine dining? And by fine dining, I mean like tablecloth, tasting menu, 2 or 3 Michelin stars.
I enjoy it. I mean, listen, I've been all the way from Osteria Francescana, thank you very much for the invitation, to Wiley Dufresne's WD-50, to Paul Liebrandt's restaurants. I mean, I enjoy it. However, I have a limit to it, so it's. I love the experience. It's an interesting on my palate, but it's not necessarily comforting. So it's not something I want to do like more than maybe once a month, like maximum.
Fair enough.
And just because something is interesting doesn't necessarily mean I like it.
Okay.
You know, like I've had a lot of dishes, foams and reductions that I'm like, I'm happy I tried that.
Okay.
But I don't want to eat
Yeah.
any more of that.
Okay.
You know?
And what about comfort food? I mean, being Italian.
Carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Give me pasta with cheese and sauce. Give me pizza. I mean, give me a sandwich with 9 different types of meat in it.
Oh.
I mean, it needs to have a carb, like for me. And I mean, listen, I have a lot of guilty pleasures. You don't get to be my size and not have guilty pleasures.
Oh, absolutely.
One shout out to my Miami local people: a public sub.
Yeah.
Like a pub sub. Like I know
Exactly.
maybe not your, but like I love pub sub.
I want to bring back, I mentioned at the beginning that you have some connection with Venezuela. Do you want to remind us what that connection is?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So my grandfather, back in like the 50s, he moved from Napoli to Venezuela.
Okay, like many Italians.
Like many
huge
Italians, you know,
community.
Venezuela was like the country of opportunity. This is before a lot of, you know, more recent things. So like I would go every Christmas as a kid to Venezuela and eat hallacas and arepas and all that.
And you were living in Madrid or in New York?
Both.
Both.
When I was living in New York, I would go to Venezuela for Christmas. Madrid, go to Venezuela for Christmas. Always Venezuela for Christmas.
So you enjoy the arepas,
Everything.
hallacas, all that.
Even like hot dogs,
Oh.
which are
Yeah,
better in
I mean,
Venezuela.
And even better in Maracaibo. We talked about that already.
I've never been, but I'll give it to you.
I miss a good arepa place here. I mean, there's one that is super popular that we
mentioned.
we
don't love.
Yeah. But I like. There's a place in Normandy Island. I think it's 71 Cafe or something like that. That's super. I mean, low key. I think it's a hidden gem for Venezuelan food. They have amazing arepas. You were talking about their empanadas. They're amazing, and I think that's a place worth visiting. I like La Latina too.
La Latina, is that still there? I haven't been in a
Yes.
minute, but it was really good when we went.
No, it's La Latina is very good. But yeah, I think with that many Venezuelans living in Miami, I think we should have better Venezuelan.
So Venezuelan food is not like maybe it's getting more, but it's not super appreciated.
The thing
Like,
is, I mean, the Venezuelan diaspora is very recent. I mean,
Yeah.
you were talking about all the problems Venezuela has had, like political, economical, everything. So what makes like the communities, the immigration is what makes
of course.
the food like the food travel, and like the Chinatowns, the Japantowns,
Little
of the world,
Italies,
the little
yeah.
Italies of the world. So Venezuela started traveling very recently,
You're right,
15 years maybe, 10. And yeah, we brought our arepas, our tequeños, but still it's very young diaspora, no?
Yeah.
And there's many chefs who have left the country, who are working all over the world. And I think it's a matter of time when those chefs or people who were born and raised in Venezuela, but they became professional chefs or restaurateurs outside, start looking back at Venezuela. But you can still, I mean, I think there's a lot of hope. I love Caracas Bakery, which is like
Oh,
a
fantastic.
classic Venezuelan bakery. There's your brother always
Was
tells
it
me.
Manolo? Was it Manolo?
But that's
Argentina.
Argentina.
My bad.
Sorry.
I haven't been. I haven't been. When they have pandemiga, it's Argentina.
Yeah.
My mistake.
No, but your brother always tells me about this place, Cazadora in Williamsburg.
Oh yeah.
That's supposed to be really good. I haven't been.
Guacoco or Guacucu?
Guacuco.
Guacuco.
Yeah, we were there.
So good.
Yeah, they have also good empanadas, but it's also like fast foody.
Yeah,
like
but I don't
cachapas
mind.
empanadas, which is great. But I think it's coming. Like we already have amazing chefs in Peru, in Tokyo, in Hong Kong,
In Miami.
in Miami, doing like high-end food, like Michelin stars. Not necessarily doing like traditional Venezuelan, but I think
Fusion, Venezuelan flavor
Yes.
into. No, absolutely.
But I think we're getting there, and I love, as I mentioned before, this Casimiro place in Doral. I think it's
We're
great.
going tonight.
Yeah, let's go.
Your car.
Cut.
Exactly.
No, it's. I think it's great. Also, we have a tradition, which is whenever we go to it, unless it's like a Taco Bell or a Carrito,
Okay.
we always do cocktails at the beginning of the meal.
Always.
Always. What's your go-to cocktail? I mean, and I know you do a lot of martinis, but I've seen you
It
order
changes.
some
more
random
feminine cocktails.
feminine stuff with like lights and umbrellas.
You're referring to my entire pineapple with Christmas lights?
Yeah, that was
filled
at
with
the bar, and it's Pocha. It's right behind Gabose, which is a
Gabose,
Korean
yeah.
place we
Which
love.
we're not allowed to go back to.
Yeah, well, I can go. Yeah, that Gabos is in Lauderhill, one of the best Korean restaurants in South Florida, I would say.
I think martinis are a go-to. It opens up the appetite, but if I'm feeling a little, what's a nice way? Like a little bit more in touch with my feminine side.
Okay.
Then I think a nice amaretto sour is delicious if
Yeah.
you have a sweet
Okay,
palate.
I'm not there with you.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm more into. I mean, martinis, of course. But I'm more into the like old-fashioned Manhattan.
I love that stuff too, but
Yeah.
sometimes you're just feeling a little weak.
And you want a
you know,
pineapple with lights and
yeah.
like colored straws.
Honestly, it's also to get a reaction of people. Everybody's drinking an old fashioned. Here comes a whole pineapple with light. It had
Exactly.
a battery. My cocktail had a battery. Okay.
I remember. Did you share that on social, for example?
It's my Instagram profile picture.
Oh no way! I'll have to check
so
that.
yes, I did.
I'll have to check that. You are from Napoli. I mean, your background is
Yes.
Napolitan. I know like every region in Italy has its own personality. I mean, I'm very familiar with like Emilia Romagna, probably the north. And I've been wanting to go to Napoli and Sicilia. Those are like on top of my bucket list.
Don't wear a watch.
If you say that, like, I'll. I mean, I never do, but even they're even less. But I know your family's from Napoli. You go there often. But while you were in New York, or when you go to New York, is there any particular like Napolitan restaurant that you crave?
Absolutely. So there's actually two.
Uh-huh.
Let's get pizza out of the way.
Yeah.
Because Napoli invented pizza. It's famous for pizza. Probably my favorite is La Montanara, which is, or it used to be, if it's still there, in the East Village,
Okay.
which specialize in Montanara pizza, which is a
fried,
fried pizza
yeah.
dough, which is amazing. But for like other Neapolitan dishes, New York is a little tough. I think a lot of the immigration has turned Italian food into Italian American food, which I'm a big fan of. By the way, I love
absolutely.
like, and most of those immigrants are Sicilian and Neapolitan.
Okay.
So I go a lot to Bamontes
Okay.
in Brooklyn, which is like been there 70 years.
Oh, man.
It's the type of place where you walk in and you're like, this could really use a renovation. You know, with the checkered tablecloth and a little too much garlic and oregano and everything, but it's so good. And we just don't really have that in Miami, and that's so New York. And yeah, not quite Neapolitan, but it stemmed from immigration from Napoli, right?
Absolutely.
That created Italian American food. But yeah, I would say those two are like my go-tos. And then, Miami, I'd say the closest thing is like Carbone, if you want to deal with it. Like if you
Yeah.
want to deal with the process.
You mean like Italian American?
Yeah. Like, but if you want to deal with like
Yeah.
waiting for a table, paying $40 for a plate of pot, I mean, I'll never say no to going to eat there. Like somebody
But it's
invites
not
me.
something like we would plan or like, oh, I'm craving your $80 eggplant parmigiano or whatever.
Exactly. Like if you invite me because you have a table or you have an event, I'm coming.
Yeah.
But I'm never gonna like work to beg to get a table.
Yeah. And tell me what's next for you. We've talked about where you come from, what you're doing. I know you've been doing your program now for like 7 years. You're getting into a new house.
Yes.
I'm always pushing you to cook more. So I hope you get like a nice kitchen there, so you start like cooking a little bit more.
Oh, you can cook for me.
So what's next for you? What are you looking for later this year?
So immediately next is dinner. So I can tell you that's happening.
What about a little bit long term, like?
I think in increments of meals.
Uh-huh.
So,
Is
but I mean, I don't know. I'm really enjoying Miami right now. Just keep working on my business.
Even though we just had like a huge storm.
It's part of
Yeah.
the charm. But just keep traveling, keep eating weird stuff that you never know if you're gonna like. I'm not really a planner, Nidal. You know this about me. I just get crazy ideas or just ideas like that, and so yeah, I have no idea where I'll be in a year, but
Okay.
doing this, I hope.
I'm gonna ask you something like super cliche.
Please.
Do you see any parallel between like the luxury watch world and the restaurant world? With like, is there in the watch world the figure of like the celebrity chef? Like, I don't know, is there like
Absolutely.
a watchmaker that everybody admires?
Yeah, so I would say like Rolex
Mhm.
is like the Carbone. Like it's pretty good. It's
Okay.
pretty good, but it's way too expensive, and there's no reason to put that much effort into getting one or going there.
Okay,
And then you have, like the independent guys.
let's do a little game.
Okay.
Let's do watch brand and restaurant, and if you tell me how the watch brand is, I will help you also picking a restaurant because I don't know much about watches.
Okay, so why don't we go? So I told you Rolex. Why don't we
Rolex
go
Carbone.
with Patek Philippe, which
Okay.
is the most famous of the truly high-end watches.
Okay.
Not the most exclusive, but widely considered to be the highest end.
Okay, so that would be probably like a Noma.
Yeah,
Could be what El Bulli used to be
in Spain.
in Spain.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like,
No, it's good.
Okay.
But people don't know that like you can secretly go above.
okay.
You know?
So I would say it's a good Noma.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Ooh. I'm gonna throw you just an underhand and easy one. Swatch.
Swatch.
Cheap, easy to get.
Shake Shack.
You know what? That
You were
works.
gonna say something, or you?
I mean, I was gonna say McDonald's, but Shake Shack
No,
works.
no. Big. I mean, just like there's something above
Fair enough.
Noma, there's stuff below McDonald's. Maybe McDonald's is like, I don't know, Casio. Or,
Casio.
yeah, exactly. No. Yeah, I think Swatch is a good Shake Shack.
Here's one.
Uh-huh.
A brand you haven't heard of, but Philippe Dufour
Okay, no idea.
makes 5 watches a year. There's like a 30-year waiting list.
Okay.
So if you're on the list now, you're not going to get one before he dies. Considered the best, hardest to get, the epitome period in watches.
That's
Restaurant
like
equivalent.
a good omakase in Tokyo.
Okay.
Yeah, like Sushi Saito, maybe.
Ooh.
Those are like places that it's impossible to get there, basically, unless you are there, you are a regular. Because the way these places work is like, imagine 6 counter.
6 people at the counter.
At the counter. You eat there. When you're eating there, basically you book your next meal.
Okay.
So-
So, you have to book your next.
Yeah. So unless somebody has 2 seats there, invites you over, you squeeze in, and you are there, then you can get into the secret rotation.
So it's impossible.
It's impossible. So what's the name of that brand again?
Philippe Dufour.
Okay, so Philippe Dufour is like Sushi Saito in Tokyo.
Have you been to Sushi Saito?
I haven't. I tried.
Okay.
I tried to go there last year. They told me it's impossible. I still did two amazing omakases, but I didn't do Sushi Saito.
Did you at the end of service? Did you go to the back of the restaurant and go through the garbage?
I didn't.
Pick up the straps. I would have done that. I mean, that might be the closest we'll get to Sushi Saito.
Exactly. No, it's amazing. It was still an incredible experience. We did two in Tokyo, one in
Kyoto?
in
Osaka?
Osaka.
You're making me so hungry right
Dude,
now.
I'm going.
You...
Okay, let's do one more watch.
Oh, this is great. Richard Mille.
Aha. I mean, it's a meal already.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Richard Mille.
Very douchey, very expensive, and you only have it because you have more money than sense.
Papi steak.
Actually, on side note, I really want to go to Papi Steak just so I can say I've been to Papi Steak.
All right.
Or how about Nuzret?
Nuzret. Yeah, that's a good equivalent. And talking about games, I love to do this with, even outside of this podcast, like in normal conversations with people who travel a lot. We always exchange recommendations, new openings, and everything. So I have here a list of cities, and tell me one or more than one place that you love there. They don't need to be fancy, high-end. Can be like places you crave, you're looking forward to go when you visit those cities.
Okay.
So the first one is New York.
And
You're not allowed to tell me the Napolitan places.
There's too many to pick. I mean, I would go everything from Papaya Dog, which is a $2 hot dog, which is just iconic, to Minetta Tavern. If you can get a table, Minetta, the burger.
Well,
People, they hate people like you. You don't go there and get the burger. You get the Côte de Boeuf.
Côte de Boeuf.
You know, but no, Minetta Tavern is fantastic. A classic of mine, might not be the best restaurant, but a place I have very good memories.
Okay.
It's like one of the first restaurants that I went to an expensive meal and paid myself. Japanese Brasserie in Tribeca.
Okay.
It's like a upscale Japanese steakhouse.
Okay. Interesting.
Good memories.
Miami. Hard one.
I mean, we're gonna go Joe Stone.
Hard one because don't take me wrong, because lately we have very good options. And
yeah, I mean, you've got to go with Mati's if you want to do Peruvian. And also our friend Diego's restaurant.
Lamar.
Lamar, I'm sorry, the name is escaping me. Peruvian
Well, you
food.
remember it's Diego, which is what matters.
Diego's the one who cooks for me,
Exactly.
and so that's what matters. But Peruvian food here is really good. Then let's see. Help me out here. Where do we go a lot?
We go to Hometown Barbecue.
Hometown Christie's Steakhouse.
Christie's Steakhouse.
Coral Gables.
When we want to splurge, we go to Surf Club.
Surf Club. That's our celebration restaurant. And when we're really out of ideas, Hillstone.
Hillstone. That's
You can't
cannot
go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong with Hillstone. Mexico City.
Taqueria El Vilcito.
Oh, dude, I love
Inside of the Mazda Repair Center, in the outskirts, a $20 cab ride outside of Mexico City.
Lovely. Love it.
But also the other one, and excuse me, don't remember the name. No, Maximo Bistro.
I love
Maximo
it.
Bistro was really good.
Very good. Madrid. I know what you're going to say.
I'm going to go with a lot of kebabs at 2 o'clock in the morning because I was a teenager when I was living there. La Carmencita is really, really good. Classic Spanish. Taberna Laredo.
Those rabbit ribs.
So it's the only place I've ever seen that'll serve you a plate of ribs from a rabbit And now I'm there. I'm counting. There must be like 40 ribs. I'm like, how many rabbits are in this plate? I mean, there must be 10 rabbits.
Yeah.
I mean, how many ribs? I don't know. But
Yeah, so good. I bet they buy all the ribs of all the rabbits that are consumed in Madrid, and they just
because no one else serves. I
Yeah.
mean, it's one tiny lollipop of meat.
so good.
But it's so good. So good.
I like this one, Bangkok.
Okay, so like I'm usually a little too drunk to remember where I ate. But I will say if there's one place to go, it's a little outside the city, the Ratchada train market.
Wow.
So Ratchada used to be a train station where they like stored trains, and now it's a night market with only like food stalls. So like great cheap beer, great food. Then another place I went, which sounds like it was cooler before it became famous, was Breeze.
Uh-huh.
To the top of the Labua State Tower. It's where they shot Hangover 2.
Okay.
But I went before Hangover 2 was shot there.
Even though you were hungover.
Yeah, exactly. But Bangkok, like even 7-Eleven, brother. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
Anything, that's why I don't have names. Everything on the street. You know, that's what I do.
Not today, but we're going to have a conversation about 7-Eleven in Tokyo.
Okay.
I have mixed feelings.
Do you? I prefer Lawson, but I think they're all
exactly.
good.
Exactly. 100%. Munich. I know you've been going to Munich lately.
It's the wrong place because even though I've been to Munich 4 times, I've left the hotel 0 times.
So not even like a currywurst.
No.
Oh,
room
man.
service because I'm there for 2 days for work and like never left the hotel.
Oh.
And it sounds ridiculous, but
Well,
it's
let's do a deal in this table today. Next time you go, at least have like one currywurst like from a shitty cart in the street.
I'll order currywurst and room service.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Let's do it. Napoli.
Oh my God! So number 1 place, my uncle's house.
Oh, man.
Like it's just Napoli is
I
one
love
of
it.
those places that like I'm not even allowed to go out to eat. Yeah, you have the famous pizzerias like Da Michele, as I said, but Napoli, like I just go to the butcher and Mergellina, and you get a little mozzarella, and
man.
sometimes they have mozzarella because it's a butcher. They don't always have mozzarella, and they just put it for you on a piece of bread.
Boy.
But honestly, bad answer because I always eat at families.
Fair enough. So we gotta just get your uncle's phone number and
Well, yeah.
go together.
Go together.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Perfect. Hong Kong.
Okay, interesting. Another place I do a lot of work, so I don't get to go out a lot. But my favorite that I recently went is called Sichuan House, which is funny because it's not Cantonese, it's Sichuan. So why am I going to Sichuan in Tokyo? But it's absolutely incredible. Delicious, delicious, delicious. And then where else have I eaten in Tokyo? I mean,
No, Hong Kong. Ooh.
Oh, Hong Kong. No,
Yeah.
sorry. No, but I meant
Yeah, but
Sichuan
no.
House is Hong Kong. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Hong Kong is also another one of those places where I'm very adventurous, but you can really find some bad food if you're not careful.
If you have time and tell me in advance, Ricardo Chaneton, he's Venezuelan. He worked with Mauro Colagreco in Mirasur,
Ooh.
and he opened Mono in Hong Kong. He has 1 star, and if you ask me in advance, I'll ask him to make you an arepa.
Absolutely. So I mean, also Hong Kong depends. Are you in Kowloon, which is where Sichuan House is, or Central, which is like the nice part of Hong Kong?
I think it's central.
It's probably Central.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Sichuan House is usually where I go.
And I didn't have Tokyo in the list, but you already gave
No
me that.
boo.
And I know you were in Chicago recently.
Okay, one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. You were there.
I
No,
was not.
it was
I was
Jameson.
Not. Yeah,
God, I'm so
I
sorry.
was supposed to go to that trip. I was somewhere else.
You were somewhere else. It was, and now I don't remember the name.
The Italian
the
place?
Italian
I'll
place.
tell you. It's Ciccio Mio.
Ciccio Mio. Okay. If Carbone was legitimately good, that's what Ciccio Mio is.
I remember you. I don't know if you phoned me that night or you sent me a picture or you told me when you just arrived, but I have that name on my list.
I would easily fly to Chicago just to have dinner and fly back. Like that.
Let's go on the. I'm going in a month I have a work meeting on Friday.
I'll meet you for dinner at Chichimio. I'll
let's
book
do
the
it.
table.
Friday night.
Chicago, by the way, great food town.
Oh, yes.
Chicago
So good.
pizza's bullshit, but great food town.
So you don't need I mean, there's so many options that you don't need.
Why is the sauce on top of the cheese?
Yeah.
Why? Why do I need a fork?
Exactly. Talking, I mean, Napolitan saying
Yeah.
that. I'd rather do Polish sausages in Chicago.
Ooh, so good too.
Yeah.
No,
so
but
good.
Chicago's like, I think number 2 after New York, in my opinion, for
Mm-hmm.
best food in the country.
And they have best burgers in the country, I would say.
I agree with that for the most part.
I love Ocheval and the burger at the Loyalist.
So Chichimio is owned by Ocheval.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
exactly,
No,
yeah.
they amazing hospitality group.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing.
Perfect. And anything in Ho Chi Minh? Or just
So here's the thing about Ho Chi Minh. I can't pronounce anything. Like, I can't pronounce any of the places. You know what I did in Ho Chi Minh? I did a street food tour with a motorbike.
Oh,
so you
perfect.
pay someone like $50 and they take you 3 hours around Ho Chi Minh, and they pay for all the food, which,
Yeah.
by the way, $50 in Ho Chi Minh is like,
probably
you
they
could
make
buy
like
a
a
restaurant
$45 profit. on-
yeah. And like, the first time, every time I go to Ho Chi Minh, I do the street food tour on the motorbike. The last time it was raining like monsoon. And he still came on a motorbike and just gave me a poncho. He's like, it's basically a garbage bag. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. But it's one of those places where, like, I don't think I ate anywhere with a roof.
Amazing.
Banh mi. Oh, great Bourdain episode.
Uh-huh.
And the banh mi place is still, the old lady in the Bourdain episode is still making banh mi's in the same address. So.
Oh, great. Bueno, I'm getting so hungry with this conversation. We better go have some dinner now. But before we say goodbye, we leave. Can you tell our friends where to find you if people are interested in watches? I know you have a YouTube channel. You have an online
Sure.
shop. Can you share that?
So on YouTube, it's Federico Talks Watches. And online, it's delraywatch.com, and it's the best place for a watch geek to buy a watch. Advertising,
Amazing.
baby.
Bling, bling. No, thanks a lot, Federico. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you here. This is, I mean, I'm just starting this. This is one of each. And the reason it's called one of each is because it's something we love to do in some restaurants with the right amount of people and the right menu, which is,
One of each.
yeah, what do you want to order? We want to order one of each. So thanks again for coming, and let's go grab dinner.
Thank you for making me part of this journey, and hopefully you guys want me back on the show. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But more importantly, feed me.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Ciao. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.